It's the Duffin Up Podcast.
All right, Duff Daddies and Duff Moms, we have on a very special guest for you this week. This man is one of the co-founders of Odin golf balls. He has created a golf ball for the common man, by the common man, that guess what? It's priced at such a point where if you lose it, you're not going into the water to go try and fish it out. You can just be like, oh, I have another Odin golf ball right here. Why don't we just use that? So without further ado, I would love to welcome on Jordan. Jordan, how are you doing this fine day?
How we doing? I feel like I just went on pay-per-view and paid 3 easy payments of $19.99 for my own personal hype man.
Let's get ready to rumble. Oh, I found out something crazy. I was listening to a podcast and I found out that guy and now the guy from the UFC, they're brothers. So like the guy that does the UFC introduction, they're brothers, and they didn't know that they were brothers until they were like 30 years old. So like how they were living completely separate lives. It's insane. It's insane. But yes, we are ready to rumble here. Jordan, first question for you. Why do you think that, you know, because we see it a lot with the Titleists, you know, they do have like they have the Pro V1s, and then they have like the True Soft and the True Feel, but no one really buys those. Why do you think the price of the golf ball is so, I wouldn't say high, but why do you think so much goes into the marketing of just the Pro V1s, just, you know, the Callaway Chrome Softs, like these ultimate high-end balls where regular handicap golfers should not be playing those balls?
Because we're suckers.
Yeah.
because we're buying it anyway.
As I buy my Titleist as I buy a pack of Titleist AVXs, which are more expensive than the Pro V1s now, and they do the exact same thing.
Well, yeah, and Brendan, you're going to be donating those ones anyways, so you know, it's time to make a switch, I think. So to answer your question, the scene really is. And when I tell people what we're doing at Odin, they look at us funny, the four of us, and say like, oh, isn't that a bit of a bloodbath? Because there's no shortage of consumer choice. First off, there's, you know, 5,000 hat companies, 500 ball companies, 30,000 apps, you name it, swing analyzers, grips, everything under the sun, golf wise. And obviously that was expedited from a growth standpoint during the pandemic. So that's the backdrop that we have. The other big backdrop we have is the market is incredibly mature, meaning a lot of those big companies, as we call them, the old stuffy incumbent brands, that, you know, us challenging them and biting at their heels. Some of them have been around 100 years plus. A Cushnet, which owns Titleists, and they're public companies, and they need to hit their revenue targets, and all of their money is going to the professional players. Hence why, you know, we're zigging while others are zagging, you know, building for the everyday golfer. We're not building for the tour. Like, we don't give a fuck about the tour. We give a fuck about you, essentially. So that's the big thing. And because they have that pricing power and that command on the market, well, you could do whatever the hell you want, essentially. And they know that people will pay, because a lot of this is, we run into this all the time. You grow, if you're a little bit older, you grow up playing a brand, Titleist for 40 years or Callaway for 40 years, etc. The behavior shift for consumers is incredibly difficult. And whatever you're building for a consumer and consumer tech, the four of us come from a consumer, from food delivery and ride sharing, where those are equally bloodbaths, where essentially it's pay to play. And that's what they're doing, essentially. And with that, when you have a big standing in a market, you get complacent. You just $50, 50 beans a dozen. People are going to pay that. That's fine. Like, that's great for us. So that's why startups win. I mean, most startups fail, but that's why startups win, is because they challenge the status quo. And that's kind of what we're doing in a lot of different ways in the golf world, and many other great companies too, you know, smaller, medium-sized golf companies. So it's candidly, I mean, building a company is 99% not glamorous. I mean, we get hit in the face all the time. I, perennially look like Casper the Ghost and have bags under my eyes. Also living in Berlin where, a big vitamin D deficiency. So that doesn't help either. So that's, but this is the path we've chosen. This is the adrenaline rush.
Wow. For anyone listening, this is our first morning podcast. So this is fantastic. It's either going to go great or it's going to go terribly, but so far so good. Jordan, pumped to have you all the way from Berlin. I don't have a business bone in my body, so it's fascinating to hear what your business model and how you have started this company, and at what point were you did you say, I am going to start this golf company? Were you on the golf course? Were you hitting a ball that was just like, I don't feel like looking for this $5 golf ball anymore? What was the point of, all right, it's time to make a difference?
The lens. So there's 4 of us who started Odin. There's 2 Germans, 1 Brit, and I'm the token expat with all the terrible jokes that still haven't landed.
One day they'll land.
One day, right? It's like, I think it was Rodney Dangerfield on the Tonight Show. He was bombing and he's like, hey, get me a new mic. And, what's wrong with this room here? So it's that kind of thing.
No respect.
Just right. Just they're probably listening or watching and, rolling their eyes, the usual. Eventually they'll land but that's kind of my sole contribution for keeping Odin afloat. So the 4 of us, so I'm originally from Northern California. Again, people ask me, like, what are you doing here in the dead of winter? And I moved over to Europe 10 years ago, moved to Berlin. Berlin, we say grungy but sexy with the hint of Depeche Mode in every corner. So very eclectic, edgy, like San Francisco, where I grew up. A lot of fun nuances. And here it's very international. Unlike the kind of the traditional rest of the country of Germany and that sort of thing, which we can get into, is a lot of fun, wild stories there. So I moved over here 10 years ago to work for a company called Delivery Hero, which is basically the DoorDash Postmates of Europe, Asia, Latin America. And that was kind of a big baptism by fire in consumer tech food delivery, which there's, again, no shortage of consumer choice. It's incredibly crowded. So it got kind of a front row seat of consumer behavior and how these companies are built and how the sausage is made, or as we say, encased meat or meat in tubed form. And the other 3 are also consumer tech, from food delivery, from ride sharing. So this is we built and scaled tech companies here and in the US. So that's the lens of which we have. Golf in Germany is completely wild. Are you guys familiar with how it works out here?
I heard you need a permit. Is that right? But tell us more about that.
It's like taking a DMV test, which I didn't think anything could compete with the DMV. You play 18 holes, someone follows you in a golf cart with a checklist, like, hey, I'm taking my permit test, or can you parallel park? And it's essentially, can you not shit the bed on a golf course? Which we're able to run this like over the pond. Why can't they run that here? But needless to say, when I first moved here and they said, hey, you need a license to play, I flipped on the bird, made up some stuff that I was a member at Pebble Beach, which I'm not, and that doesn't exist. They heard Pebble Beach and they're like, okay, that sounds great. They heard Pebble and Beach, and the rest is history. So that was my way in. The other 3 guys are more law-abiding citizens and they have their licenses. So I mean, the expat rebel who we don't follow rules and lewd and lascivious behavior on the course, that kind of fit the bill there. And so the 4 of us, so there's a lot of expats in Berlin, a lot of Aussies, Brits, Dutch, Americans, Canadians, all people who want to scratch their golf itch, because golf here is very old. It's stuffy, it's expensive. The demographic is retirees, essentially.
I was about to say, boys, that sounds a little familiar, like New England, almost a little familiar on the private circuit in New England. That is case in point, New England private country club golf right there.
Straight up, for sure. You guys can echo that. So we incubated this tech founder consumer expat golf game here in Berlin, and it's a small group. So that's the other backdrop. the four of us, so myself, Christoph, James, JB, and Big Phil, we're on the course one day, and we're not great golfers. We're everyday golfers between 12s and 25s, get the job done kind of swings. So enough to have fun, but not take it too seriously. And, we're out there to have a couple pops, play some jams, some Bruce and some Foreigner. And then there's a schnitzel waiting for us on the other end on hole 19. That's why we do it.
Schnitzels at the turn? Is that the new thing?
Schnitzels at the turn instead of tacos, Bry Guy. Uh-oh. Nelson, you may now have competition, sir.
Well, I was gonna say it's Nelson's new business line.
I would say, like, if he gets into the German market with schnitzels at the turn instead of good. I mean,
It's
Christoph and
diversity.
Christoph and Philip, like, get on that. Like, reach out to Nelson right now. Side business, side hustle right there. That sounds amazing.
No brainer.
Nelson, if you need a beta tester eater, hit me up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah,
listening.
Can confirm schnitzel at the turn is a win. Yeah, as you're eating a schnitzel at the turn, be like, yep, it works.
Imagine like, I think that would be so funny. And I'm sorry to interrupt the story, Jordan, but imagine just like all the different countries. So like in the UK, you have like fish and chips at the turn, or like you go up to Canada, it's like poutine at the turn, even though that stuff is gross.
What?
You go,
It's gravy on fries. Brilliant.
Gravy on fries is disgusting. Oh God. And they don't even first time I ordered it, they were like cheese curds, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have like Wisconsin fried cheese curds on this too. This is gonna be amazing. And it came out and it was just like just the cheese, and I was like,
this is new, Brendan. This is new, Brendan. He's on his health kick right now. So
I know.
Everything he's got to mentally tell
disappointed.
himself that this stuff is disgusting.
I really do. 34 pounds down and more to come. But boy, I need to tell myself that every single thing is gross that I want to eat.
There goes our Canadian market, though. You just lost them. We already blew it. We already lost them there. Glad you're losing pounds, but you're also losing customers and listeners and all that in Canada.
All 8 of them. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
So sorry, Jordan. Please continue the story.
I was gonna say you probably got some new fans over the pond who are probably pondering like, what's actually the right crust to meat ratio on a schnitzel?
I think so. Like, this is high. This is hard hitting stuff right here. This is hard hitting stuff. We need to figure it out.
It's akin to Nelson with the taco. What goes in it? And do you and questions like, do you put lettuce in a taco? Is the cheese shredded? Is it feta crumpled cheese? Is it without cheese? Kind of the questions that's probably keeping him up at night. I don't know if I could go through Nelson's gig, but I got to hand it to him.
No, we on this podcast, we do not shy away from talking about food. What kind of meat is in a schnitzel? Or please tell me about a schnitzel.
There's chicken, there's veal, and it's very thin. It's similar to chicken parm, bootleg Italian East Coast. They hammer it down with a mallet, and then they bread it, and then they deep fry it. So that's kind of and then it comes with French fries on the side or mashed potatoes, and then there's usually some cabbage, some sauerkraut, as we would call it over there.
Yes.
For you guys, what's the this is like a hard hitting thing I've been meaning to ask you guys. What's the East Coast menu like, and grub and pops? What do you get? What's a typical run of the mill things that you guys have?
For at the turn, it's mostly hot dogs. If I'm being completely honest, it's almost entirely a hot dog and a Bud Light. For Timbo, hot dog and a nice cold water. For me and Bry Guy, hot dogs and a good Bud Light pop.
I'm a big Snickers guy. I like
that is true.
Snickers at the turn. It's kind of the way to go. But
as you can tell, not great. And nothing great. That's why we're so intrigued with tacos at the turn, schnitzel at the turn. We're like, we need to change.
And the hot dogs are it's 100% hit or miss. Like you've never had a hot dog where you're just like, that was fine. You know what I mean? It's either like you get like this giant behemoth and you're like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life. Or you get like the hot dogs that literally zigzag in the bun and you're just like, what is this crap? Like there's no, which is why when we talked with Nelson about tacos, we're like, we need to bring tacos to the East Coast, because at least then we'll get like pretty consistent good tacos.
You've had a zigzagging hot dog?
Yeah,
You've
what's
never
that?
had the little wiggly ones, like the ones that are not like just straight.
No.
I mean, it means they cook them too long, and like they're breaking and they're like wiggly, and I'm like, oh, you never had a bad hot dog like that?
I mean, I'm used to the ones on the rollers that I think stay form. They keep the form of a hot dog. No wiggly
Yeah.
ones. But
You want to talk about overcooked? That thing is burnt to a fucking crisp.
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's from
Brendan-
last Tuesday. It's been cooked on and off.
Yeah,
all
and it's
over that-
stale.
Yeah,
Brendan, if you're gonna build a hot dog from the ground up, what is that?
Yep. So it is a good roll. So it always has to start with a good roll. So like not the store bought like regular rolls. I'm a big potato roll guy, but also I need to stop talking about food because now I'm getting hungry and I don't want to eat that food today. So I'm a good potato roll guy, or there's a couple of really good buns that you can get. So you grill the bun up a little bit, then you put the hot dog in, spicy brown mustard, little bit of onions, very finely chopped onions, and if you want to be fancy, sometimes I will put sauerkraut on it, but not very often. But
Ooh.
mostly it's spicy brown mustard and onions.
Intriguing. And for the meat itself, thoughts on the hot dog being sliced and then grilled,
Oh,
so it opens up into the bun.
oh, that's fantastic.
So it's
That
got the
sounds
grill
amazing.
marks on it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's got a little bit
That's-
of crisp, and then topped with a crispy onion or a really like tangy, soury sauerkraut.
Ooh,
That sounds
sauerkraut
amazing.
on a dog is phenomenal.
That sounds fantastic.
Maybe
Right
the
there.
greatest invention Germany has ever come up with.
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut is phenomenal.
And it doubles as great digestion. That's a lot of the reason why they have that, is because it goes down very nicely, and they have different types of cabbage, red cabbage and green cabbage, which has been fun getting into. But yeah, while there's many quirks like golfing here and needing licenses, and maybe there's some risk aversion, of course, it's incredible living here. Have you guys been out to Europe at all to visit?
I've been to Berlin.
You have?
Yeah, we stayed in we stayed on the east side, so we stayed close to Potsdamer Platz. Yep. So that was like more East Berlin. We didn't get to West Berlin. I've heard. I don't know if you live in West or East, but I've been to Berlin. It's an interesting place. Munich is cool. Then so I did like the whole European tour when I was younger. Jesus, that's 10 years ago now. Holy moly, that's insane.
That's sick. I'm in the East, and if you were to go in front of my building, it's the DDR blocked building, graffitied out, and very grungy, safe.
Gotcha.
It's Europe. I mean, graffiti and stuff is not what we would necessarily know over there. And yeah, it's cool, man. It's a fun spot. It's good. And how about the rest of you guys? Have you been out here?
And Jordan, before we get off Germany, or I know we're talking about it, but first thing, that I've never been to Germany, but as soon as you said you were from Berlin, I was like, all right, we're at the Berlin Wall. And then I was like, how can we relate this to golf? Have you ever done a flop shot over the Berlin Wall, the remaining parts of it? And if not, would you get in big trouble if you would, or if you tried it?
So I live 5 minutes from Memorial, and every time I walk by that, you have inspired me, first off, to do a flop shot over it. Second off, every time I walk by it, there's a lot of grass around it, and I think I've actually gone there and filmed some Odin reels with like the balls and that sort of thing. So I'm always like, how can I turn this into a golf track? They probably would cuff me and take me away and bring me to the bowels of some gulag, but I mean, shit, that would be worth it.
Oh man, imagine, just bring your own. Bring like a nice little mat, and just hit it off the mat instead of hitting it off the grass. You should be good.
I mean, that's where Dart City came from, literally, is from just the surroundings here.
Gotta hit a flop shot over that wall. God.
Yeah, man. Oh, totally.
This one's for
Yeah.
yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
Now,
I'll add,
how did the? So go ahead. Sorry.
I said I'll add that to the real roadmap that that probably no one will ever see,
Yeah, right.
like many
It'll
of our
stay an
reels.
idea.
That'll be taken by the German police department, by the Berlin police department, and immediately just like no one can do that.
Right.
Can't wear any Odin golf gear. You just gotta.
Yeah.
Can't
Dead
do that.
giveaway.
How did you come up with the name Odin?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the company.
Yeah. So the we got sidetracked, but the story is I'll go back to your question, Big Tim, there around how we started. So we were on the track one day, the four of us.
Oh, yeah.
And we're donating to the lake and the forest and having a terrible round, essentially just spraying marketing material everywhere, emptying our bags out. And we looked at each other and we said, well, why are we losing golf balls of brands that they're old, they're stuffy, they don't speak to us as the next generation of golfers, first off. Secondly, we're the digital natives. We're consuming golf in new and innovative ways. Like, these companies aren't speaking to us. So that was the seed crystal of the idea of why don't we lose our own golf balls? And the four of us, having this tech background and this tech lens, we said, look, we want to bring Odin to golfers around the globe. The North Star vision we have for this company is not another ball company, but a platform for the everyday golfer. It could be a destination to get, as we say, reload without the guilt on high quality stuff without denting your wallet, but also a digital gamification of golf for the everyday golfer. And we can get into our Get Paid to Play Golf sponsorship that we just launched, more details on that. So this was always, I think, a bigger vision than just coming out of the gate like another ball company. And the balls for us, they're exciting, and we want to check boxes for everyone, get what you get from those traditional brands from performance and that sort of thing standpoint. But the next part of our roadmap is, I think, in the broader vision is where we're more excited. So that's the bigger picture, and we can dig into that stuff and that sort of thing. And then the name Odin, we said, given we started in Europe, we have two HQs. Berlin is where we design and incubate stuff, and HQ2 is Northern California. And so we're just focused on the US market. We're not building for, we'll get to Europe and everywhere else at some point. And we said, let's pay homage to the European motherland, like we started here. So we wanted something that was 4 letters, could fit on a ball, was bold, was edgy, eclectic, fitting our tagline of "Go balls out always," which I don't know how I don't know how the hell we're going to translate that thing when we come over the pond here. It's like going to China and trying to translate Top Gun, and it's 3 sentences long and doesn't mention top or gun. So I don't know how we're going to do it, but so again, that's one of my small contributions to the company of the tagline. That took a lot of convincing to what that actually meant. The good news is, from a marketing standpoint, we do sell balls, so it has kind of a double meaning, which is cool. Odin is the Nordic god of wisdom and of war and of 100 other things. There's Odin. If you Google Odin, there's the Marvel Odin, which we all know. Then there's the mythical god Odin, which also, if you Google, you see it. And there's this painting of Odin. He's sitting on a big throne and he has a giant staff. And we said, shit, that looks like a giant putter. This, I think, is a match made in heaven here for the name. And then obviously with our splash and our colors, you can see the boxes behind me. So that's how it really came from, and part of the origin of us incubating this thing on a local muni course.
That's, I mean, like you said, it's a great name. It fits, fits right on the ball. I've been able to play them a couple times. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy playing them because they are, they're with the X1s, at least, like you get a good feel with them. I felt like those were fantastic, and overall they're just, it's fun to play with them. I really do enjoy being out there, and they were very easy to find because it was like I was at a course with my buddy, and we were right next to the driving range. And they had like all the Titleist, they have like the Titleist Pro V1 practices and everything like that. And I was like, I hit like not the best shot in the world. So I'm in the rough by the driving range, and I just look and I'm like, oh, there's my ball. Like, I didn't even have to lie. I was like, Odin won. Let's do this. Like, let's go. So it was great being able to have that. And it's definitely a nice differentiator for sure when you go out there and people are like, what ball is that? And then they hit it and they're like, oh, this is good. So it was great to have kind of like that conversation too.
I do like the look of it. I do like the look of it. Like you saying, like you just want to be able to fit that name right on the ball, and it's just as clear as day, Odin. You look down, you're like, oh, that's my ball. And then it's just like, it's sleek. It's, I like that you made all the letters the same size and the Odin. And I don't know if we want to talk about it now, but like the different types you have. I know you have two different kinds out on the market right now. Talk to us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things we wanted to do that we were very intentional about before we even came out of the gate as a company. So the idea we started it around 2 years ago, and we came out of the gate in July 2021. So we're still relatively early in our journey. Before we came out of the gate with any sort of ball, we said a couple things. One, when you start a company, you need at least one thing to innovate on. It could be a product, it could be a marketing campaign, it could be a business model, it could be a go-to-market, etc. So for us, we said this has to be a 50 or 100x experience across the board, not only the product, but other things that we're offering to a consumer, which we can get into later. That was the first thing. The second thing is we said, we're not building for DJ or Nelly or Rory or any of those people. They're already covered. Who are we building for? Who's the persona we're building for? And when you build a company or provide a product or value to someone, you need to know who you're getting into bed with and building value for. That was the big thing that we looked at. So we said, we're building for the everyday golfer, people like us who grew up playing at the Muni courses and are out there having fun, not taking it too seriously. Also getting people who like to compete, of course, and then they want to go to the dive bar after, and maybe they want to do some karaoke and sing some Foreigner or Eddie Money. That's the kind of lens that we were looking at, right? And flatbed grill hot dogs. So that was the context. And we said for the everyday golfer, we want to hit all the different everyday golfer player types. So we spent 9 months working very closely with manufacturing partners to figure out, can we get ball experiences to fit that? And the good news is the four of us have different swing speeds, handicaps, play styles, etc. So we were able to make that happen, and we executed 2 ball types. We have our X1 ball type, which is our tour level, plays like a Pro V1, TP5, etc. for $34.99. That's a 3-piece urethane ball, and we had it vetted, USGA. Like, again, check all the boxes that you get, but without dropping 50 beans. And then our X ball, our white box back there, that's our extra distance ball, but has a soft core, and that's a 3-layer ball as well, and that's $19.99. Most distance balls are 2-piece. They feel like hitting rocks, and they're actually more expensive than that. So we were very intentional. Again, harkening back to what I just mentioned earlier, we built those balls at a category that punched up in their weight class, but then the price was at something that was very aggressive that we could do and make happen for the consumer. So for the X1 category, there's a lot of balls in that category, but for the X category, which actually a lot of people like, there's not a lot of 3-piece ionomer extra distance balls for that price point. And we looked at it very specifically and said, what's the wedge in the market that we want to carve out? Again, it's like the classic startup conundrum. You want to do 100 different things, but brass tacks, what's the lane you're going to carve out, and then you can land and expand value beyond that. So that's how we started, and how we were very intentional about it. And then the packaging, we wanted to feel like unboxing like an iPhone, like a matte finish, very simple and sleek and to the point. We're not going to burden you and overpower you with all these tech specs and, triple tracked, double engineered, whatever. Like, we don't care. Like, again, we as consumers are selfish. Like, what's in it for us? Like, we don't fucking care. I want it now. We have music, we have food delivery, we have ride sharing at beck and call on our phones and our TVs. We don't care. Like, we're selfish. So that you have to cater to that and understand that psychology.
No, that's amazing right there. And I will say, I know I mentioned it before. I've played the X1. When I tell you, like, I could not really see a difference between the X1 and the Callaway Chrome Soft, the Titleist Pro View. Like, there is minimal difference right there. And the price point, I mean, it's $50, it's $15, $20 less per thing. And definitely want with that distance ball too, because I feel like where we're going with the older brands, the OEMs, the Titleists, the Callaways, the TaylorMades, is they're going to go the AVX route, where it's like they have that distance ball, but 3-piece, but they're charging 55. The AVX is Titleist's most expensive ball right now. It's $55 for 12, and you guys being able to do, a similar ball where you guys are under even the True Feels and the Bridge, when I saw like Top Flight tried to raise their prices, I was like, really, guys, we're hitting actual rocks, and you guys are below like the Top Flight balls now too, which is just like, why would you ever go with that type when you could get a 3-piece ball that's a distance ball, but it still feels, normal, just like a regular ball. And $19.99 is a price that you cannot beat on that side for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And the other thing we looked at it was speaking very much to the utility of what you get associating with us as a brand. For the X1, for example, or the X, like, use that $15 for a bloody and a breakfast burrito. Like, go use that. Like, you spend so much on golf. Like, we want to help you. There's no reason you should be just bent over and on all those regards, especially with balls, like, because you need them. It's something that everyone needs. So as we want to help you as much as we can. So you're right. It's the other thing with this, because there's so many companies doing this, like, we're aware of all of it, but it's really this is the other thing with building a company and a startup, is you own your own destiny, essentially. You're whatever you make of it. No one else is going to, because there's just a few of us and only so many hours a day versus. So you have to just something and go nuts out. It's our tagline that we have. So it's fascinating seeing how the market mature and what in the consumer, which is we can get into and is going to get higher over time. We're looking forward to.
I think what you said, packaging is huge nowadays, especially like for us jamokes that, are like, oh, this is a cool looking golf ball, or this is a cool looking package. Like, oh, let me show my friend what the new golf ball I play. And like, wow, that's a cool looking package. You know what I mean? Just like the presentation. And you're right. Like I'm about to go play around a golf. I don't want to like go into the intricacies of like different cores and stuff like that. Like, if I'm buying the golf ball, like online, sure, I'll look into it, see what, and I'm definitely not going to understand it, but it looks good. But you're right. Like, I just want to open that nice looking package, take out that nice looking golf ball, place it on the tee, and then hit it right into the woods. But that's huge. I mean, you know who you're selling to, and that is just half the battle right there. I mean, a lot of Titleists. I mean, I like Titleist. I like Vice, but Vice has become that for me. And now we've been introduced to Odin, and I hope that to be the new golf ball that's in my bag, just because price wise, obviously number one, boom. And just something to be proud of, something new and something different than your average guy who's out there like, look at, I'm playing a Titleist Pro V1, like, hey, I play Odin, and say it proudly, so that's bravo to all the things that you guys have been working on.
I love the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean
No,
to.
no, go for it, man. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I was just gonna say, I love now thinking about it, how golf balls market themselves. I mean, you find a golf ball, it's like free advertising all over the course. It's like you lose a ball, you pick it up, and that's a little billboard, a little mini billboard. And if you like the feel and stuff, it's like obviously the more people playing those balls, the more mini billboards you have spread throughout the world, I guess. Technically, if you have them worldwide and people are playing them worldwide, it's kind of a cool thing. It's free marketing for you. It markets itself, and it speaks for itself when someone's holding that ball and they're like, oh, I found this new ball, let me give it a try. Because I'm always, if I see a new ball, like obviously I'm going for feel, look, all that when I first have it. But and if I get disappointed, I see a top flay, I'm like, oh, I'll throw that back into the woods, or that's going right into the shag bag kind of thing. Where it's like, if I see a new ball, I'm gonna give it a shot, and until it disappoints me. And then and I'm not saying it disappoints me in regards to I can't make a par with it, because that's a me thing. It's not in regards to that. But if it's just a shitty ball, feeling ball, if it feels like a rock or something, then I'm like, all right, that can go in the shag bag for my future backyard. I don't even have a backyard, but I have one of those shag bags that you don't even have to bend over. And I have a new hole that I'm gonna put into my backyard, but I don't even have a backyard yet. So I'm just in an apartment in Boston, so working on that. But yeah, so it's funny to think of it as little mini billboards spread throughout the course, and I'm more than happy to spread those billboards, because I know I'm gonna be losing a lot of my balls anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, all three of us, Tim, well, maybe not Tim as much, but me and Bry Guy, we're going to be the poster boys for those. Like I am the sprayer extraordinaire right there. So that'll be, people will be like, wait, Brendan, what ball is this? I'm like, Odin. And then they find it. They'll find it everywhere. It'll be unbelievable.
I'm excited
Bri,
to spread the name. I'm excited to spread the name for sure. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, for sure, we're stoked. And Bri, I was gonna say, what's the equivalent of hitting a flop shot over the Berlin Wall over there?
The Green Monster. Hitting a flop shot over the Green Monster here.
We would get that like 3 feet in the air, and it would just be like, nah, dude, you're not hitting
Yeah,
it over.
I'd skull it, it'd come back right in the shin. I feel like I'll blade it. Yeah, that's probably about it.
Now, Jordan, one thing I did want to ask you is, because right now you guys have a very specific model of direct to consumer within the US, and it's working out great. Are you guys exploring kind of options of getting into pro shops, getting into, I mean, obviously PGA Tour Superstore and Dick's and Golf Galaxy are probably like the big 3 areas of like mass golf outlet stores. Are you guys exploring that option of trying to get into different stores, different pro shops, or is it specific model just for direct to consumer?
So actually, one of the other things that I forgot to mention before we started, Odin, was we said, look, we're building for the everyday golfer. We want to meet where he or she's at the local watering holes, and we want to be there. We want to be present to build trust and credibility, because there's a behavior shift here that we were mindful of. So out of the gate, while we did sell online, website, Amazon, Walmart, et cetera, we still to this day, it's grown a lot at pro shops and local golf shops. So there are, we mostly in California, and there's a couple on the East Coast as well, and in the Midwest, actually. So when we came out of the gate after 3 months, everything sold out, because we were very intentional about that. We want to be able to spread in those different areas, not only for value, but to learn as well. That's important for building a company, uncovering insights, learnings, bobbing and weaving, and keep building and adding value on top. And hence, last summer we launched our Get Paid to Play Golf sponsorship, which we can talk about. But that came from all those market insights. So yeah, we kind of, again, we want people to use Odin as a platform to get value in whatever way you want, and however you reload on balls. And if it means getting into a Dick's or PGA Superstore, which some of those cases are kind of pay to play, and there's millions of things on the shelves, so that's probably not our bag. But we're just we're building this for you. We're building on for you. Like, you tell us how you want to consume it, kind of thing.
No, and I definitely think that's a great pivot into what you just mentioned as well, which is the idea of sponsoring local, not even local golfers, but sponsoring the everyday man. One of the things when we originally reached out, obviously, is going through, the ambassador program, sponsorship program, everything like that. But one of the main things that I really enjoyed was the idea that it's just like, okay, like, yeah, we're not, like you said before, we're never gonna be like a PGA Tour sponsor. We're not gonna have, pay Dustin Johnson $1 million to play our ball. Like, we are out here for the common man, by the common man, working for them and being able to have a ball that is kind of specialized for them, and also priced at a point where people can afford it and they don't have to take out a second mortgage just to buy a pack of balls. So being able to definitely want to hear a lot more about what gave you the idea about the sponsorship program, what gave you and going through all those different sides of it too.
Being the four of us being in the tech world and being very intimate with what the zeitgeist calls now Web3, decentralized crypto, etc. We did launch about a year ago our own founding member NFTs, not about the financial speculation. That's not what we're into, but it was to introduce the golf world to what we believe will be the future of digital consumption. And in our case here, we as consumers in the future are not only going to want a killer product experience from brands, you're going to expect other things, other benefits on top. Because if I'm spending my money with you, I want to be able to get a full suite of benefits and a full experience beyond just the product. That's where things we believe are heading, and why we delved into that. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, you spend a lot on golf. When you associate with us as a brand, with our Get Paid to Play Golf sponsorship, 20% of each dozen goes back to you as a sponsorship payout. You can use that for paying cheaper green fees, using it on ball reloads, buying hot dogs and tall boys at the turn or schnitzels at the turn, use it for lessons, anything golf related. Because we know you spend a lot, we want to give you that money to go do anything golf related. And we have this live on the site. We sponsor clubs and leagues all over the US and individual golfers, which we just opened it up to. And that was our next brick in the vision towards this everyday golfer platform, gamifying and paying everyday golfers like the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour and Live and all those people would get, essentially. So that was kind of the impetus for that idea. And our big focus, again, like, you're going to associate with us as a brand, you're going to get all these benefits on top beyond the product. So that's really the big thing for us. Like, again, harkening back to what we talked about earlier, you come out of the gate with something, you need to keep building and building for people, because they can go anywhere to get this or a part of this. So that's incredibly important, and really why this stuff is so hard, candidly, because you just have to be always on point as much as you can. And not everything out of the gate will be perfect, nor should it be, but you just need to be like, how do we get, again, we're building for you, how do we get you value? And then our other big core tenet is, and this fits into this Web3 decentralized thing, you give value back to the community and they get a piece of your company as you grow. So the analogy we use is, rather than one Zuck or one Jeff getting wealthy, like, there should be 1 million Zucks and 1 million Jeffs getting wealthy. Like, we don't need to feed their coffers. Like, we want to give it to you. We don't spend on advertising. Like, we want to give you that money for anything golf related. So that's the whole lens and piece of that we're excited about.
That's great. I mean, that is such a great thing. And I think this goes into kind of our quick announcement that, going forward, Duffin Up as a whole will be an official, well, unofficially official, but a official sponsor slash ambassador to Odin Golf. So we will be, that is right, people. We finally got one. We got a sucker that was like, we want to actually work with the Duffin Up podcast. That's right, people. We did it. We snuck our way into it, baby. But we will be working. We will be working with Jordan. We will be working with everyone at Odin Golf to spread the word, because it has been, I mean, getting those, being able to play a golf ball that's at a great price point. We're so excited to be able to continue to work with you, Jordan, and to kind of go forward as well with this too. Now, of course, not everything is finalized yet. Don't worry about that. But we are super excited to work with Odin going forward as well.
Here we go. Yeah, we're stoked to have you guys in the crew. And again, like, this is super easy. Anyone can go to the site and you buy a dozen, and the money comes back to your Venmo and PayPal. That's kind of our MVP experience. The next thing we're going to be launching soon is an Odin card that lives on your mobile wallet, iOS, Android, that basically gets topped off with sponsorship payouts every time you reload on balls. And you can go to the course and scan it at their POS or in the bar and grill or anything you want to use it for, which is cool. So it's just, we want to give you a piece of this. So however we want to do that and you get value out of it, I think is cool.
Yeah, I am pumped to play. I mean, the X ones were great. I cannot wait to play the X's, because that'll save a pretty penny in my wallet. So I'll be very excited about that, especially winter golf here. I'm sure Jordan, winter golf in Berlin is probably the same, where it's just it's a little dreary. It's a little dreary here.
I can't wait to give those a try in general. Brendan hasn't spread the wealth over here to the other members of the pod. So
come on, Brendan,
I got one dozen.
I
played 1 dozen. I've played 1 dozen, but don't worry, we will be sharing them.
We'll get you some more over there after this.
Yeah, I'll send you my address, because I don't think it'll make it past Brendan's address.
Oh my god,
he's hoarding them.
I'm not hoarding them. We got it. And shout out, of course, to Derek and Dominic, who gave us the introduction, sent us the balls, and we were really pumped about that. It sent us 1 dozen, Brian, 1 dozen. I tried to keep a sleeve for all of us, but then I ended up losing them, which is what they're for.
Yeah.
And Jordan,
we got you guys covered.
My girlfriend got one of those Cricut machines, to make to print out logos and everything like that. I don't know if this is a copyright thing, but can you send me the original, the Odin logo or something like that? I can start putting it on t-shirts, getting the name out there and things like that, because I'd like to start making t-shirts for this podcast. And if I could put Odin on it as well, I mean, 2 birds, 1 stone,
Hell yeah, for sure. I love that. And the other thing we can do for you guys too is put the Duffin Up logo on the site, so people can order the Duffin Up logo balls.
Oh yes, wow. That is going to be right there. That is what we're very excited about, because if you see Brian's hat, I didn't wear him. Shout out Eagle Brand. These are our boys too. But the Duffin Up logo is by far and away one of my that bad boy. And that would look good up. We have 2 logos. So we have the old school full logo that we don't really use. I will say we don't really use a lot anymore. It's our podcast logo. But then we have our hat logo, which is the one Brian's wearing right now.
That's
and
dope.
That thing is one of my favorites. Thank you, Canva.com, for helping me. But that was that bad boy right there has been a if we ever get into merch and everything, hopefully we can get that one going too. So that would be cool.
That's sick. Yeah, I just made a note here. You guys can, we'll exchange logo files and get that rolling.
Absolutely. That's great. That's great. So Timbo, do you want to turn the on air on and we get into
Here we go, Big Tim.
We get into our questions?
Oh, my eyes.
My eyes.
There we go.
I can't see.
Are you on air? I can't tell.
I'm gonna have a seizure.
Let's run it, Big Tim.
All right, Jordan. We have these questions that we ask at the end. I'm glad that you have no idea what they are. Some of them golf related, some of them more food related or not, nothing to do with golf. So the first 2 should be easy questions, or the first couple. First of all, do you have any hole-in-ones?
I have a hole in 2.
Come again? A birdie?
So you're right. So It was a par 3 off the mat at a local par 3 course. Shanked the first one, and then I dunked the second one. So I guess, is that a birdie or a hole in 2? Either one. That's as close as I've gotten.
That's
Interesting.
incredible.
So did you like hit it off the mat and it kind of just like trickled like still on the mat and then you hit it again, or did it just go like and then dunked
It was a reload, and the reload was there was a hill next to the hole. It hit the hill and then just went straight to the hole and dunked it that way.
That's impressive.
It was great, but at the same time it wasn't, because I couldn't say it was a hole in one. It was
Right.
it was a
That's
birdie,
actually
like you said, Big
that is
Tim.
legitimately probably the worst. Like that might be the worst feeling ever. Like now that I'm thinking about it, like, oh my God.
You
Oh,
were so close. You were so close. Did you get to see that second shot go in?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was a
Beautiful
relatively
putter.
short hole. Yeah, it was pretty clear. If fucking felt great, but
You knew you couldn't
still have
write down a one. Right.
still have cold sweats thinking about it. One of the many things that keeps me up at night.
Was it with an Odin golf ball? Big question.
It wasn't. It was probably 12 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So before the inception of Odin. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Before Schnitzel at the turn.
Yeah, before Schnitzels at the turn.
Mhm.
Now, none of us have a hole in one, and I hope that when one of us finally gets a hole in one, it'll be with an Odin golf ball for sure. I mean, that would be dynamite, because you get to put that up on socials and say and hold up the Odin golf ball, and that would be cool. I mean, that's just a dream for the brand, and a dream for both of us. Two birds, one stone, hole in one, and a little I don't know, little advertisement for the brand, promoting it. So anyway, second question, Jordan, you are stranded on an island. You're stranded on an island. You have unlimited Odin golf balls. You don't know how long you're on the island, but you get to hit unlimited golf balls, hit them over and over again, but you can only bring one club. Which club are you bringing?
It's Nuke City or bust.
Driver. He's bringing the big stick. I love it.
Gotta hit. Yep. Nope. Gotta hit the nukes. Or you can practice your putting game and then come back and one putt everything. That's all that matters.
Brennan's really just trying to get him some backup, because Brennan said putter, and now he's trying to get everybody else on board, and it's really embarrassing for him because no one is on board.
No one gets on board. No one gets on board. That's fine. That's fine. I'll work on my short game. I won't be a 3-putt king anymore. Well, that's not true.
I love how Jordan's like driver, and Brennan's like, or like gradual
Maybe a
progression, maybe a putter,
putter.
right, guys, putter, huh?
Putter, we
Maybe?
putting.
Anyone? Hello, is this thing on? Get no respect. Yeah,
Everyone's so polite about it too.
Someone bring me a new mic. Someone bring me a new mic.
Anyone? Hello.
Right,
Tim, how about you guys? What's your choices?
I believe I was I think I said, did I say 7-iron? Yeah, I think I went 7-iron, because I've been really needing to work on like my bump and runs, because I use my 60 degree pretty much like 80 yards or in, whether it be a long like approach or anything. So I got to really get away into, because I got to move into a better bump and run game, because I really can't, like, if I'm right off the green or on the fringe, it's either putting it or I'm like using my 60 degree, which is not. But I think I could shave off and maybe save some strokes there. So I think I'm going to go 7, because it's probably my favorite club, honestly. Just being able to like hit it full, and it's kind of what I do consistently with my 7, but maybe using it around the greens, getting a little better at it. But
that's a good point. I have to say this officially. I will say I want to just spank the 3-iron. I love hitting a good 3-iron. There's no better feeling in my mind than hitting a good long iron. And it's so versatile, as far as you can hit it off the tee on a decently short hole if you really need to. And it increases your chance. It'll increase my chances of getting on a par 5 and 2, if the distance allows. but I'd love hitting. There's no better feeling than hitting a good long iron for sure. It's just peering it. But when you hit a bad long iron, you hit a bad long iron. That's the only the drawback. It's a
Right.
good ring, 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 ring. Like it just rings your hands. You need batting gloves.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, it's like super thin and
super thin. Yeah, I agree.
Well, especially now with it being so cold up in New England, like I don't know if you are, Tim, but like if I'm getting out in like 35-degree weather, like I'm Tommy two gloving every time. Like I've got both I bought Callaway winter glove. Have you seen, totally off topic again, sorry. Have you seen the Titleist mittens? Like the golf mittens?
No.
They're the silliest things in the world. They're like massive, like you cannot grip a club with those mittens. And they're massive. They're
meant to grip a club.
Yes,
though?
they're meant to try and grip golf clubs during the winter time. And like, I don't understand them.
When you say mittens, like are there individual fingers or is it legit like mittens? Wow. Yeah, I don't get that. I can barely.
Are you talking about the cart mittens? Like those things are big. I didn't know
they're massive. Some people try and play with them. I'm like, you take them off. Just take them off.
In between shots.
I have seen like the pouches that like quarterbacks have. I've seen that for
those
the golf
things are
course.
Hilarious.
That makes sense. I mean, I put it on the back, but that makes sense in order to keep your normal hands or gloved hand warm in between shots. But I can't imagine, because I'm super mental when it comes to like golfing. I hate wearing long sleeves, honestly, like especially when it's a little frigid. So like I'll go pants and short sleeves over shorts and long sleeve just because it's all mental. So I get enough with that, but I can't even imagine mittens. I think I would just chalk it up as a loss there, because I'm a big blow into your hands kind of guy. Keep those warm.
I'm good with the Tommy two gloving. I don't mind wearing the two Callaway gloves, and they're like winter gloves too. So like now I have like a summer glove and winter glove. So I'm like, I'll take it.
Brendan, I picture you like no more stepping into the batter's box, tightening it up.
Yeah.
Like being very OCD about making sure it's tight after every swing.
Surprisingly, I used to be that way. I have become the most go with the flow golfer because I realized I was not going to, at age 29, I needed to stop pouting that I wasn't going to make the PGA Tour. So now I just go out and take one practice swing, get right up there, hit the see ball, hit ball, and we're rolling. We are rolling.
See ball, hit ball, consume copious amounts of hot dogs.
Consume copious amounts of hot dogs and a couple pops there too.
Thoughts on a Hawaiian bun on that hot dog, Brendan?
That is potato bun / King's Hawaiian bun. We can mess with right there. I would take a King's Hawaiian bun. That would be, we don't really have. It's kind of like out here, like we don't have like the Hawaiian style chips. We have Cape Cod chips. So it's I feel like potato buns and King's Hawaiian buns are like one and the same right there. Like they're very much good buns.
Aren't those King Hawaiian buns like really small? Wouldn't you have like two?
That's like a slider. Those are the slider buns. They have hot dog buns too.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, what's funny is when people eat brats here, they have the brat that sticks out in a little bun in the middle, and then they put the mustard around the whole part of the meat. So it is like that little Hawaiian bun, because they don't do hot dogs here like we do, where it's a full covering snug.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fascinating. But the juxtaposition of the Hawaiian sweetness with that sauerkraut, I mean, that's a fucking move and a half, right?
Wow.
Yes, it is. Wow. Yes. That sounds amazing right there. I feel like, I guess I'd go back to potato buns all the time because they're very similar buns, but it's like, I feel like that you get like a little bit of a sweeter kick. You get a little bit of you get something in there. But I will say, I feel like for Germans in general, like I just feel like they just eat like sausage like 24/7, and like you go to like the German halls and everything, and it's just like, we don't even eat buns. You use a fork and a knife and you just have some spatzel, you got the sauerkraut, you go with it.
When you were in Berlin, did you have currywurst?
I had currywurst, which was delicious. I had schnitzel, which was amazing. I I had never heard of spatzel, and I got it, and it's like
Mm.
it's egg noodles basically, right? That was pretty good. That went
Mhm.
really well with sausages. Yeah, we ate a lot of pork while we were over there, which I feel like is a very very German thing to do.
Yeah. So, Bride Tim, currywurst is like sausages cut up, and then it has a curry ketchup
Oh yeah.
with some spice on it. You eat it with a little fork, and then French fries with mayo on the side. So it's kind
Interesting.
of. And then the
French-
other big thing here too, Brendan, do you have kebabs when you're here?
Doner kebabs are, I
Yeah.
mean, that's just like a European specialty right there. Like they were much better in Germany, I would say, because I know Germany has a huge Turkish population, but like talking about it, oh my God. When I was living in Ireland, like the thing was you would go out to the bars and then you would go to a kebab house at like 2 a.m. and everyone would be singing silly songs and just waiting in line for like garlic cheese fries. There was a place in Galway that did taco fries were very popular where I lived in Ireland, and they were amazing. And then yeah, you would get like a doner kebab or a chicken kebab or like and it's delightful. It's
Yeah.
delightful. There was a reason I came back not much heavier, but heavier than I went. So
They're the ultimate booze mops.
they are.
At
They
three and
really
like
are.
5 a.m, just soaking it up. Yeah.
They do
Did you
kebabs
club?
right for sure.
Brendan? Did you club here when you were here? Did you hit any of the deep house clubs?
So that is something I did not do, and I kind of regretted it. But it was I was supposed to, but then I chickened out. So I was like, so next time I go, I gotta give it a try. I've heard they're very interesting, to say that it's very fun.
You heard it here
If you
first.
need a
Brendan
look,
has to go to a club.
Ugh.
Yeah,
late night
and
club.
record TikTok dances while
Yep.
he's at the club.
I cannot
Imagine
wait.
that. Imagine that. Me in the club doing like one of those like little TikToky dances, like me and Mr. Good get along so good. Me and Mr.
Can't
whatever
wait.
you do, like they're just like ah.
I could see it.
I'd rather not.
I could see it.
No, I did not go to any of the clubs, but I've heard they are some of the best in Europe and just very different. So that's kind of cool.
if you guys ever need a local fixer when you're here, you know where to go.
Absolutely.
We got a plug.
Absolutely.
We got a club plug.
We got a plug.
Club plug. All right. So, Jordan, take a look. See that window right behind you? I want you to look out there. Imagine you have your very own backyard. And in that very own backyard, I want you to imagine a golf hole. Now, this golf hole is going to be your favorite golf hole, either one that you've played before or one that you've seen on TV that you just like, I got to have this golf hole. You have one golf hole in your backyard. You can play this golf hole over and over again. Which golf hole are you choosing?
I'd go with the Coeur d'Alene Island Green.
Ooh,
That's
a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. We haven't heard that one yet.
No, that's a good
That's a thing of beauty.
Yep, that's a really good one. I like
The
that.
rub with that is you need enough darts because you can't walk over, and you take your shag bag, your bri bag, and shag them, right?
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Imagine. Yeah, no, we would need a subscription for Odin golf balls right there. Just send them 10 dozen at a time. Just like we.
That are some very expensive scuba gear.
That's true. That's true.
I have seen that in when I was golfing in a course one time, and there was this guy in the pond. Like the pond was probably no deeper than 3 feet. So like this guy was basically, he could have been like moving himself with just his hands. It could have been on his knees, but he had full scuba gear, just getting all the golf balls out of the pond. It was a par 3 course, and it was, I mean, you got it. The holes were all the holes were over water, so there's dozens, and I mean hundreds of thousands of balls in there. And I was like, I kind of hope that the course didn't like give him the access to do this. I hope he's doing it on his own. But like, if you have the full scuba gear, he had the full scuba gear, not even a snorkel. He could have had a snorkel, but he had full gear, and he I hope that he was just doing that on his own, because no one's going to question someone with scuba gear. It's too funny. But I just love that. Some people go those extra miles. I've seen a lot of those companies too come out of the pandemic as resellers, golf ball resellers. A lot of them are younger people that are just trying to make a buck. A lot of the ones that I've seen, they're like high schoolers that are doing it. And I'm like, it's makes sense. I mean, but
it's like the modern day lemonade stand. You just kind of put something out there and make a few dollars and
just
go
scrub. Yeah, right. Just wash them, clean them, make them white, and put them on their way.
Mini entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs. I like it.
Little side hustles right there. Gotta love it. Am I right?
All right. So there's lots of smells in Germany. We're talking about food. We're talking about different things. All right. So I want you. What is a smell? This is not a golf related question, by the way. What is
You're now into the unrelated golf questions. These are just our fun questions.
What is a smell that other people usually find atrocious, usually find unappealing to the common nose, but you secretly like? What's a smell that most people don't like, but you kind of like?
The first thing that came to mind was you walk into a barbecue joint and it goes against any sort of vegan's DNA or wishes. And I have numerous amounts of friends who are vegans who make things political. And again, like everyone chooses their path from a food standpoint. I totally respect that. But as soon as you start making it political that, hey, I want to fucking take down a rack of ribs and a brisket sandwich, like I'm going to do that. And what's the Boondock Saints quote? Make like a tree and get the fuck out of here kind of thing. So that, I don't know if that's indicative. It answers your question of the, a larger population. That's the first thing that came to mind. The other thing that came to mind is I remember I was lucky to visit Vietnam a couple times, and that smell, like in that culture and is very specific, and I think for a lot of people would be kind of weird because they eat food on the street. They consume things in different ways than we would, and I guess more of the Western world. So that's another thing that came to mind. But I would say, like, and yeah, candidly, and maybe I have a bone to pick with some of the vegans that I'm thinking about, but that's neither here nor there.
See, it's almost personal for you. It's like you like the smell to spite a view that you don't necessarily agree with when it gets to a political level. But to most people, I mean, all three of us, I'm sure we love walking into a barbecue joint, smelling the meat, the ribs,
oh yeah.
Normally we would say, no, everyone loves that smell. But in your particular case, you have a good argument, and it's a personal thing for you. So I like the answer. Very different answer than we've gotten before. The other thing,
the other background is being Sicilian by background, and most of my family's from the East Coast. So you guys know a lot of East Coast Italians, and they're all from Jersey and New York area. So like many cultures, food was always used as a political weapon internally with the family, whether it's a meatball or an eggplant parm or a piece of lasagna. It was always used politically with some sort of ulterior motive. So I think like growing up and having that baptism by fire with food and people using food as a way to bring across an argument. In this case, it's like, hey, you're doing something nefarious by eating a 24 baby back ribs. It's, yeah, everyone's got a lane. I get it, but I'm gonna keep doing that.
I love that. That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about
most
you
of
guys?
us go. Yeah, I was gasoline and gasoline and cigarette smoke was mine. So very, very, very weird ones.
Open up.
Gotta love a cowboy. Gotta love a cowboy killer here and there.
I don't even smoke cigarettes. I was just like, sometimes I walk by and I'm like, I kind of like that smell. Like, it's weird. It's very strange.
How are you with cigar smoke?
I feel like people enjoy cigar smoke though. Like, I feel like people like actually like that smell, and it's like normalized. Whereas like cigarettes, people are just like, ew, gross. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's why cigar smoke. I feel like most people would enjoy that smell, whereas cigarette smoke, people are like, no.
It is.
Tim and Brian, you guys had interesting. Tim, were you tar, or Brian, were you tar?
I like
Or was
tar
that
and a can of tennis balls. I like that.
can of tennis balls?
Oh,
That was
that's a great one. That is very good. Yeah, where it pops when you lift the lid off, and
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
great smell.
the balls aren't frizzy. They're like very smooth, and yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yep, it's definitely some sort of chemical that I don't know what it is, but it smells great.
Right. Yeah.
And non-associated with the marijuana, I do like the smell of a skunk. I think that's an interesting one. A lot of people don't like it, and I like this far before I even knew it smelled just like Mary Jane. I really do like the smell of a skunk. I don't know why. I think it makes it think. I guess a lot of it has to do with nostalgia and association too. I think has to do with like summertime and I mean, that's probably the same with maybe Brendan's been to a lot of good pubs with the cigarette smoke or breakfast back in the day. The smoker section and the non-smoking section, breakfast places.
99s, baby. 99
Exactly.
smoking and non-smoking.
Yeah,
I remember you guys we're like the last of a
which
breed,
is
because
so
I feel like
it's so funny because like those sections were broken off by like section off by a partition that didn't go all the way, so everything's a smoking section.
and it was barely a partition. It was usually just like a curtain.
I know we did a better job with COVID sectioning off than we did for cigarette smoking, and you could see that, and it's so funny.
I will say now, like, so for like down in like Georgia and South Carolina, there's still like Wild Wing cafes, like a couple of them still have smoking and non-smoking sections, and what they do now with the partitioning is like like it is like full glass, like no,
that's like at church when they would have the baby crying room.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's too funny. They did a better job with babies crying than they did with smoking cigarettes indoors. That's hysterical.
Did you say Buffalo Wild Wings, or is it
no Wild Wing Cafe? It's a different. It's
okay.
It's more of a southern. It actually started in It actually started where my family lives now in South Carolina, but yeah, it started down there, and it's more of a southern thing. I think they have like 50 locations. It's smaller, but it's very similar. The wings are nowhere near as good as Buffalo Wild Wings though, and Buffalo Wild Wings I don't even think have that great of wings. So we can talk about that in another day though.
and Jordan, with you being in Germany, what's a place that you miss the most, or a food that you miss the most that you don't have over there?
Yeah, this is interesting. I get asked about this a lot, and I think about it a lot. Just being, food possessed, maybe to an extent, holding it against vegans, like personal mission. I'm kidding. There's vegans listening.
Yeah, there goes our vegan listeners. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there goes. You lost the Canadians, the vegans.
Yeah,
we've lost everyone.
Yeah,
we've lost everyone.
All 7 of them.
I apologize. Thoughts and prayers. So the food here has gotten better because there's a lot of expats. When I first moved here, there were the creature comforts I missed, being Californian, Mexican food, burgers, barbecue, and then there's the home cooked meals, of course. Now you can get a pretty good burger, you can get good barbecue, you can get gets the job done Mexican, because a lot of these places are expats or people who lived abroad. That's a big trend, and then they move back to their home country, or they started with local expats and they've executed food that people have missed. So over time, over the 10 years being here, it's able to kind of get whatever you want. But again, like I'm sure you guys have this too, whenever you travel, there's stuff at home that just is very hard to recreate. Again, like you said, Brian, the nostalgia, you can't you can't get rid of that wiring that you have as a person. You just have that as a creature comfort. So yeah, and then now with Odin, obviously I'm going back, parachuting back 3 or 4 times a year, and more so now, which is cool. And I get to partake in all of that enough that I can get my fix of, I want a pulled pork sandwich or whatever.
Nice.
I was about to say, like, especially for California side, like probably crispy fish tacos. I feel like you probably can, like, never mind. I don't even know if Germany has fish. Like, I'm joking on that side, but but I would not trust a crispy fish taco. I barely trust it on the East Coast. Never mind in Germany, a landlocked country. So
Right.
I would be
Totally.
very suspicious on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Brendan, when did you live in Ireland, and how long?
2013, I did a study abroad program there, so it was about 6
Sweet.
months.
Cool.
Talk about good.
Yeah.
Talk about good fish there too. Braga, you
Hell yeah.
you went for a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I was studying abroad in Galway as well.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Cool.
Yeah, so I did my whole Europe tour and doing all the things. The closest I got to Germany was Belgium. I never actually went to Germany, but Belgium's just like a very similar in that sense, with all the good foods and such. But no, I mean, I love everything about Europe, and I've also been to Asia as well, but as you know, like you were mentioning, like Western versus Eastern sides, it's totally different worlds. At least Europe is somewhat similar to what we're used to here, so it's just basically enjoying that culture. Whereas when I went to Thailand, and that's a whole different culture shock and a whole different world. There's far less similarities between to what we're used to. So so when you mention like the smells of Vietnam, and it's something that's it's entirely foreign to you, and something that people here are not used to, so they may find it quote unquote weird or uncomfortable, but it's not that, it's just different, kind of way.
Totally. Yeah, do you guys have a ideal golf trip for the 4 of you, taking somewhere like, hey, we want to go to Fiji and play, or we want to go to New Zealand? Do you guys have a Duffin up internal trip that you guys want to do, like, on your wish list?
Talked about. It's been talked about. First, I got to get the guys down to South Carolina sooner or later when all of our schedules match up, and Mike comes back from paternity leave, and so, but we definitely want to do that. And then I have couple of like ideas that I would like to do, and then I know Bry Guy, you've done a couple too, and obviously getting over to like Scotland would be sick. The Irish golf scene is amazing, but yeah, definitely want to do a couple more trips as we get more and more into it too.
Desante Bay after
TPC Desante Bay is on there now. Thank you, Nelson. That place looks sick.
Yep, that's incredible. Affordable too.
Very affordable. Yeah, when we looked at it, it was surprisingly affordable.
And where is that actually?
That's down in really close to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. And they reached out. We posted something, and they commented on our post, and they were just like, and Nelson tagged us in a post on it, and then they commented, and they're like, let us know when you want to get your vacation started. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm really thinking about it.
Shit, yeah, that's that sounds epic. I mean, yeah, you guys should do like a Duffin up destination tourney. I'd be into that.
That'd be cool.
That'd be sick.
Odin golf, traveling the country.
There we go. Get those cricket shirts printed.
Exactly. Got to get those mini billboards spread throughout the world. You got to start moving golf balls elsewhere. Got to shank them in Mexico, shank them over here in Washington.
Boom. Spread them.
That's right.
Put them around. All right. Our last question. The answers have been 50-50 throughout its entirety as a history, throughout, just talking to people at work, asking people on this podcast, asking Joe Schmo on the street. Not that I've done that yet, but maybe they might punch me. But do you think, Jordan, a cake would be more offended to be called a pie, or would a pie be more offended to be called a cake?
A pie would be more offended to be called a cake.
Why is that?
Yes. Correct answer.
I feel like the pie is the vegan to the ribs nemesis, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You guys are real bone to pick with the vegans. It's so funny.
I
Jordan
know, I'm
versus
sorry.
vegans I mean, it's Tiger versus Phil, Jordan versus vegans right now.
Brendan,
This
is that going to
unreal.
be the IG post title when you put this out?
It might be Odin. I mean, our title might be Odin versus vegans. our episode title.
The other three might disown me because I think they might occasionally play in that regard. So
I'm kidding
yeah,
on that side.
I don't fucking care. I'll hammer vegans all day.
I love it. That's hysterical.
That's interesting though. So thinking of that, of course, as an analogy, but also I was thinking initially of, do you guys have Marie calendars on the East Coast?
Do we?
Well, probably not brick and mortar. I've seen like the ones in the grocery stores.
Yeah. I initially thought of that place as, I mean, it's not overly fancy. I was just thinking, again, a pie place, a pie establishment, I think would be more, because that's a very specific lane that they chose. Cakes is all sorts of sizes and toppings and flavors. There's like more options with a cake, I feel like, than a pie. A pie is like maybe 8 or 10, lemon meringue and apple and pumpkin. There's like 8 or 10 on the table setting, and then cakes are like, there's funfetti, and then there's German chocolate cake, and there's cheesecake, and everything under the sun cake wise. There's Barbie cakes, there's fucking Lego cakes. There's not Lego pies or Barbie pies or Marvel pies, right? But cakes for sure. And I feel like it's a bigger industry. Like if Disney's gonna buy a company next, it's not going to be a pie company, it's going to be a cake company, like that, in those terms.
Yep.
I like that you slipped cheesecake in there. Brendan is a big
cheesecake is not allowed, because cheesecake has been disqualified because cheesecake is the perfect combination of a pie and a cake into one delicious dessert.
Interesting. Is that because of the underbelly crust?
Absolutely.
The undercarriage.
Absolutely.
So basically, your argument is, if it's not fluff all the way through, it's not a cake. What's your litmus test or your sniff test?
It's whatever Brendan says it is. He just makes up his rules as it goes along, whatever benefits him in this kind of.
Oh, come on. No, but literally, cheesecake is absolutely a combination of a pie. It's absolutely a combination of a pie and a cake, because it's just so different than everything else. We had to, one person brought up from Trill Golf, the guys at Trill brought up cobbler too, and we're like, we can't even do this because we have no idea what it is, because we don't have it up north. So we're like, we have to push that out. We disqualified cheesecake because yes, I feel like cheesecake is a combination. It's like a pie and a cake that you put into one, and it's delicious.
I'm looking at this Marie Callender's website, and it's like porn for food.
They straight up.
Oh my God.
Oh, they have fucking incredible cornbread. I used to go in there just for the cornbread, and they eventually they caught on. They're like, "Are you gonna order anything else?" And I think they put it, Bri, I think you're right. They put it in stores as well. I don't know if they did the cornbread, but for sure the pies. How about you guys? What do you think? What do you for the pie cake thing?
I don't know. It's kind of the benefit of always asking the question. I've never really had to answer. I don't.
And Tim keeps it that way, because whenever he always dodges it. Whenever it's like, Tim, what do you think? It's Dodge City. It is a Dodge Challenger right in there.
Tim's the green party of cake and pie. He's the in between neutral.
The Bourbon Supreme.
Exactly. The Bourbon Supreme. That is a very localized New England thing right there. You may not get Bourbon Supreme.
Do you know Bourbon Supreme, Jordan?
I don't know.
Oh
Did you
my-
say vermin or merman
Vermin
supreme?
Supreme.
If Google him right, well, you don't have to
Right
do it right
after
now.
the podcast,
Right
give
after
him
this
a
Vermin-
Google. Listen to his.
He is this
Listen to his.
politician. Is he Vermont or New
He's
Hampshire?
New Hampshire.
New
Even better.
Hampshire. Oh,
Even better.
he's this guy, long beard, looks like a fisherman. He wears a boot on his head, and he was running for one of those independent parties. It never got elected, obviously, but legend. Just name Vermin Supreme. You gotta look him up. You'll love him. I think you would vote for him in a heartbeat. But my answer to the question was I'm going off of a vibe standpoint in regards to cake, the vibes that cake gives off and the vibes that pies go off. And I think a cake would be more offended to be called a pie because it'd be like, dude, you're being such a pie right now. Like, don't do that. Kind of like an uptight kind of. I feel like pies are pretentious in that way, whereas a cake is like, woo. So it's like, dude, don't be such a pie. You're being a pie right now. And so I think off of vibes, I think a cake would be very offended, be like, whoa, don't did you just call me a pie? Are you serious right now? We're not going there. So that's kind of
bro, don't come at me here.
Right, dude. Yeah. Don't you dare call me a pie. You can call me a cobbler, but don't you dare call me a pie.
Right. Yeah,
Pies are
totally.
amazing. Pies are amazing. I
They're both
thoroughly
great.
enjoy.
They're
No, I
both
love
fantastic.
Yeah, I love them both.
Yeah,
It is funny
because
'cause-
the question isn't what do you like more. That's not the
No.
question. Right.
Because a lot of
Exactly.
times afterwards, people will say like, I do like, we get that also 50-50 where it's like, I think a pie would be more offended, but I like cake more. Or we get, I think the cake would be more offended, but I like pie more. So we do also get that side too. It's interesting.
So here's one thing. Last meal on earth, everyone's
Mhm.
favorite question. You can choose one pie and one cake, both, and then there's other stuff you can choose on top, which we can get into. You guys can answer, but you can choose one pie, one cake, two of them, one each. What would you guys choose?
Ooh, there's this pie that was made for me when I was in Milwaukee, and had a pie made for me. It was called a banoffee pie.
Those things. Yo, that's like an Irish traditional thing right there. That thing is amazing.
It's like a banana cream almost kind of thing, and it is
Mm.
the best pie I've ever had. So I'm gonna go with it's like a banana cream kind of pie. And then that would be the pie. I'll come back to you on the cake, but get the other people guys.
Mhm. Killer.
Never had that.
Fry guy, you want to try?
No, I'll let you go.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Pie would be apple pie. I am a red-blooded American after all, so baseball and apple pie is what we do. And then cake is a little bit tougher because I was a big ice cream cake kid growing up. I really enjoyed ice cream cake, so I think I do have to go ice cream cake on this because cheesecake is still disqualified. Still disqualified in this conversation. So if not, I would have gone cheese. I would have gone like a true old school New York cheesecake in a heartbeat, but we'll go with an ice cream cake.
Yep.
And Brendan, are you doing that apple pie warm with vanilla ice cream, or is
Oh,
that
yeah.
straight up?
Oh yeah, warm
Okay.
with hey, a la mode, a la me right there. Like that's how we do it.
I feel like you're a fixins guy. Like you need to add to the
He's a fixin'.
experience.
Yeah.
fixing
Unfortunately, this is making me really hungry, and we cannot have that. But,
The reason I say
is.
that is because of your hot dog order. I think was all telling.
Yes, gotta have some stuff on there. Can't go bland hot dogs are the worst thing in the world.
Raw
it's
dog
just,
in it.
ugh.
Brendan can't go raw
Forget
dog.
about it.
Can't raw dog
Forget
it.
about
Cannot
it.
raw dog it.
And then the other thing, Brendan, what ice cream cake are you going?
I am probably going the traditional ice cream cake of like chocolate on the bottom, and then the little chocolate thingies, and then the icing.
Like a Carvel.
Yes, the
Oh,
pure
Carvel.
Carvel chocolate, the pure Carvel chocolate ice cream cake.
They have that over there in
Incredible.
Germany.
They don't. They did have a Carvel in California. I know it's predominantly East Coast, right?
Yeah.
We used to go and get. I think the pinwheels. Is that?
Yes.
do they-
Yes.
Yeah, the pinwheels, and then obviously the soft serve killer. Cakes out of this world. It didn't last, unfortunately, because I think people didn't appreciate it. Everyone was into Baskin Robbins. Which also has a very formidable mint chocolate chip ice cream cake.
Ah.
which I would throw into the ring. So Bri, back to you and Tim. What do you guys think?
No, I do like the ice cream cake. I was going to say is probably up there, but there's also this death by chocolate cake near us from this establishment
Greg's.
called Greg's. Yes,
Oh, I didn't even
there's
think
like
of that.
yeah,
Fuck.
it's like a two. There's only like a couple Greg's restaurants, and I think it's only Rhode Island, but it's Greg's Death by Chocolate, which it's you have like the smallest sliver, and you're in bed. Like you need a glass of milk handy. It can be a vegan milk or an almond or a cow milk, whoever trying to play both sides of the fence here.
But yeah, well,
But
Brian's trying to bring him back here. He's trying to corral him back.
If you're still listening, you're good. I support you.
I
But
know. I hurt your ratings here.
No, but I also feel like if you're having this death by chocolate cake, you might as well go a full glass of whole milk because you're not holding back. You're really splurging there. So full Guna. So that's a good one. But yeah, you can't have that in the middle of a work day because you're not going to get anything done for the rest of the day. It's kind of
forget about
it's like a nightcap. Yeah, you're better off.
Right.
Yeah, you're better off having a big glass of whiskey because you're just not productive the rest of the day. And then I like I made a blueberry pie like last year, and the amount of sugar that I put in it, like I thought the recipe called for it, but it probably didn't need that much. But it was one of the best pies I've ever had, just because it was just basically pure sugar, which also probably for the rest of the day you won't be productive. So I like a good blueberry pie, and we even did like the whole on top of it, the cross weaving of the topping. So the crust is what you call it. So yeah, I like blueberry pie and death by chocolate. So altogether, you need to go on a diet in itself just after having both of those things.
Legit, you do.
Jordan, what about you?
Well, what do you have your cake answer?
Oh, probably the death by chocolate. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, fuck me. That sounds killer.
Yeah. You come this way, man. We'll take.
Dude, yeah.
We'll take you to a Greg's.
The thing weighs 20 pounds.
It's so moist.
It's amazing.
I love that neck of the woods for sure. We got to make it out there. So my cake answer was going to be just straight up just fucking fluffy as hell chocolate cake, but I know you two mentioned that from Greg's. My other option would be just a straight up just quintessential funfetti cake. Just one of those, just get down and dirty at a birthday party kind of thing. And then leftover funfetti muffins on top with some vanilla icing.
Boom.
Wow.
And then like eating the wrapper crumbs after.
Right. Can't get enough.
Just soaking that up with a glass of Bry's whole milk.
Oh,
there we go.
What about the pie?
Pie, probably pumpkin. Being a born on Halloween and just loving that time of year. Probably just a straight up pumpkin pie. Although the warm apple with vanilla ice cream is, I think, equally formidable and would give its run for its money any day.
Pumpkin pie has become an acquired taste for me. It is now. I gotta have a slice at the holidays. It is very good now. It really is. Good choice. Good choice. That's an American answer right there. I love it.
It's straight up.
That is. Some people like myself, not big pumpkin pie guys, which is not a. I become a very bad New Englander on that side, but
What's your Thanksgiving pie?
Oh, apple. It's always apple.
It's always okay.
It's got to be apple.
Do you venture into pecan or any of those?
We do not, because we're more southern. I mean, my parents are more southern transplants than they are like southerners. Like they both grew up in Massachusetts. So like I feel like that's a very similar thing to like eggplant parm. Like if you do not have an Italian nonna, like you should not be cooking an eggplant parm. If you do not have a Miss Kitty as your grandmother from Northeast Georgia, like you should not be cooking. You should not be cooking a pecan pie.
Right. Now
you can buy it. You can buy it, but you better not be cooking it.
Right. Yeah, sure shit not. The second part of this question, another round table here. What's the rest of that last meal on Earth look like?
Ooh.
Mm.
Mediterranean, like a falafel with like the
Ooh.
cucumber sauce, the
No kidding.
yeah, the tabbouleh, the hummus. I love all that. I love all that.
Wow. You would definitely fit in well here then.
Yeah, I'd love all of that. That is so
Do
good.
you like that? And do you like Iggy Pop and Bowie bootlegs?
I don't know what that is, but it's in the same category. Then yes, I do like it.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I'm
Yeah.
in.
That's killer. I love that answer.
That's I could eat that the rest of my life. That is so good. Mexican's a close second. Mexican's very close second. But what about you guys? Keep it going. I like the round table. Saying the round table.
Right, guy. You want to take this one?
Here we go, Big Bri.
Yeah, so just because Tim went real exotic with it, I think one of the best dishes that I've ever had is actually Peruvian. It's called lomo saltado, which is unbelievable. It is funny because it's the first time I had it, and the best lomo saltado I've ever had is from this really this like place near. I went to school in Providence, Rhode Island, and there was this small like place that you would go by and miss it easily, and it's like it was BYOB, but at the time we were uncertain. We kind of thought it was BYOB, but we didn't know. So like when we brought the beers in, we're like, this is good, right? Like this is okay. Like they barely spoke any English, but it's this dish. It's like this rice dish that has nice skirt steak on top of it, so a lot of vegetables, and also they do French fries on top of it as well. And then it has this ahi, this kind of sauce that you put on top of it, and it's one of the best things. So I like that lomo saltado dish. Or if we're just gonna go normal, like I like a good unreal steak and mashed potatoes too. Is always a good meat and potatoes kind of guy.
What's your steak order?
Medium rare. Medium rare is my go-to.
What?
What kind of cut? What kind of cut?
Yeah. What?
Oh.
Well, yeah. I get. Yeah. Medium rare. Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. Cut wise.
I can go either way. I mean, I feel like filet is way too small half the time. Like I love a good filet, but it's so small that I'm like, like it goes too quick. I'd have to, and it's too expensive for that size. It's kind of like a Pro V. It's like it's really expensive, but it's you only get a dozen. Whereas if you order Odin golf balls, you get two dozen for less than 1 dozen of Pro Vs.
And anyway, a bone and ribeye.
And a bone and ribeye. Yeah. So I don't really care. I like good
Our
sirloin.
new tagline: the bone and ribeye of golf balls.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Best bang for your buck.
Brendan, what do you think? Question mark. Do you like your bone in? Question mark.
Yes.
That's
yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's an
as the balls question for the on the marketing graphic.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, no, I mean Brian, that's a fantastic selection.
So Brian, you said sirloin.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a good sirloin.
Solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm going conventional, I'm going bone in prime rib, like massive bone in prime rib, mashed potatoes, asparagus, horseradish cream sauce, everything like that. Unconventional, I'm pretty similar to what Tim does, but like I know you know this, like it would be like it'd probably be like a kind of like doner kebab or something like that, like some type of Middle Eastern dish that's like, you know, you got chicken and rice or you got lamb and rice, something like that. Like that stuff is that is also my jam. Like that is, or if I really want to go at like a good, I take that back. I'm going Indian food. I'm going like a good either chicken, like a traditional chicken tikka or something like, or a biryani, something like that. That stuff's amazing.
Ian's good.
Amazing.
I didn't know we were doing conventional cheeseburger. I can have cheeseburger any day. Like, all right, Jordan, talk to us. Give it to me, Jordan.
What do you got? What's yours? What would be yours?
So for sure, I mean, we have the cake and the pie. For sure, a full barbecue spread with ribs, pulled pork brisket,
beans,
very, very piping hot cornbread with some cinnamon butter for that.
Texas hot links in there? You got the hot links in there too? Or are you going the German? Are you going the German sausage?
hot links for sure, U.S. style, and then a portion of piping hot salted pretzels that are soft out of the oven, no mustard, just straight up, almost like Philadelphia style pretzels, but like more around like those ballpark pretzels or those theme park pretzels, just with the salt on there. That would probably be my move.
Interesting.
I like it. I like that a lot. That's a good one.
Unique answer. Very unique. I like that. That's a German thing. There's a lot of pretzels over there, right? Pretzels.
A lot of pretzels. They don't usually eat them like piping hot or with a lot of salt on them like we would. They just have them just regular, just the pretzel, and they're smaller. There's the ones in Munich, of course, the Oktoberfest ones that are quite big.
Sure.
Maybe some of them have a little bit of salt on them, but most of the typical run-of-the-mill pretzel is just the pretzel and with normal room temp.
Okay.
I like it.
And schnitzel. What do we made a
schnitzel?
Schnitzel.
The other thing they do with the schnitzel here, Brennan, I don't know if you had this when you were here, they have like a little bit of a cranberry.
I did not have it. I did not have it with cranberry, but that sounds, if they have cranberry sauce, this sounds like Thanksgiving. Like, this is amazing.
It's like, it has like actual berries in it, but it's not like the cranberry sauce that we would have at Thanksgiving.
Right.
It's like a little dollop of it.
Like a compote, right? Like a compote or whatever they call it. Yeah.
It's enough to kind of sop up the schnitzel and then also bring it into the potato salad and maybe some of the sauerkraut. And it's again that sweet savory juxtaposition.
Great. Oh man, that sounds amazing. God. Well, I don't know about you guys, but now I'm officially hungry.
Starving.
But Jordan, we just wanted to say thank you so much, man, for coming on. Odin Golf, everyone. They are the best bang for your buck, I would have to say. Like, absolutely great. And we are so excited to be able to continue to work with you guys, Jordan. It's going to be unbelievable going forward. We're pumped to do this.
Find some sauerkraut too.
Find some sauerkraut, Big Tim. I have a question that we like to ask people for you guys to leave on a cliffhanger. You're invited to Augusta. You can bring one friend, family member, one professional golfer, and one famous person. Who are you bringing?
Oh,
round table, Big Tim.
He's sitting in the podcast with us. I would bring Brian. Sorry, Brent. That's
okay. That's
sorry,
okay.
Tim and I are brothers, if you didn't know that. So,
so that definitely be my answer for sure, without a thought.
And then what about the pro and the famous person?
Oh, the famous person. Ooh, probably Joe Castiglione. If I could, I would like to play with him. He's a radio announcer for the Boston Red Sox, and I would just like to talk to him I could talk to him for hours. He put me to bed many nights when I was a kid, and just talk about Red Sox history and things like that as far as celebrity goes. And athlete, a pro golfer. You gotta say Tiger. I would love to play with Tiger for sure. You gotta. But those are my answers for sure. All right, bring it a round table.
Excellent. Brad guy, you want to go or you want me to go?
I can go. I'm just gonna clone copy what Tim said on the personal thing, the pro golfer, but I think I'm gonna go with think of Tom Hanks. I'm always kind of fascinated with Tom Hanks. So that's usually my answer to if you could have lunch with someone famous or those questions. It's always Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies, and then obviously all the other ones, Saving Private Ryan, every classic, unbelievable Tom Hanks film, anything he's involved in, I'm all in. So I don't know how his golf game is, but I think I'd like that. If we were gonna go with someone who I know is a fairly good golfer, I would either go with the Bill Murray or the Justin Timberlake. I like those two guys if we want to keep the pace of play going with a celebrity. But Tom Hanks, I think, I'd like to talk to him. He seems wise, and he's kind of like our our father, our country's father, so to speak.
Where are you at with Mount Rushmore of Hanks films, and where would you put Angels and Demons Hanks on that, and would it even make it?
Um,
I love that series. I love
yeah,
that.
no, it's definitely up there. I don't know. I in regards to just genre, I'm not huge on like anything that's like sci-fi or not that like fantasy and religion, but I feel like it's kind of like when it gets too much into like, I don't know, something outside of my realm or my life or something like that, I'm just like, ooh, this is a little too much content. So I probably wouldn't make it, but um I mean, I know they're phenomenal, and my attention span is very limited. So it's kind of like when it gets into that, I'm like, wow, I can't wrap my head around this. So that's why I think but I could go on. I mean, I just love everything Tom Hanks.
And then movies in general, it sounds like your Rushmore would be Forrest Gump, like a Shawshank, like one of those cult classic Oscar nominee winners. Is that kind of your realm of films?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think it has to do with like a lot of that. I actually think I did write down some of my favorite ones, which is funny. It also goes along with nostalgia as well. There's obviously like the Forrest Gump, Field of Dreams. I think with baseball, it's a good one. Um, with that, what else did I write down? I do like, oh, and most recently, I don't know if you've seen Belfast. That was a good one
That was
about
really good.
that one, Patch Adams,
Wait,
with Robin Williams.
Do you mean the Mount Rushmore of Tom Hanks films?
Of Tom Hanks films and also
Is
regular
that-
films.
Oh, regular films. Okay.
Yeah, I was curious where his head's at with the Angels and Demons series, Da Vinci
Oh,
Code.
sorry.
Because people, well, no, that's because people play in both camps. Like, what's the Hanks you like comedic, happy-go-lucky, or is adventurous sci-fi? Sleeps with the Italian lead. Like, what's the what are we working with here?
No, that's
Ooh.
great question. Yeah, because I forgot about Shawshank as well. Um, or even like the
Not
Catch
related
Me
to
If You
Hanks,
Can,
of course, but
the
yeah.
Catch Me If You Can types of
Right.
things. Yes, because I mean he is funny because I know there's a new one coming out with Tom Hanks. I forget the name of it, but I think that
My
seems
Name
to be
is
more.
Otto.
Yeah, that seems to be more of
Yeah.
a comedy than anything. Which like I think, I mean, in serious roles, I just kind of he has such a broad span, but between him and Robin Williams, I think those are two of my go-tos, which are, I mean, obviously talk about span. That's someone who can do comedy and serious all in one. So I don't know.
For sure. I just watched rewatched for the 100th time Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah. Yep. What? It's not called Good Morning Vietnam. What's it called? Or is it called Vietnam? Good Morning.
With Robin Williams.
Yeah.
It is called Good Morning Vietnam.
It is.
Yeah.
With Forrest Whitaker.
Whitaker.
Yeah.
Last name is Kirby. Bruno Kirby maybe is the hard ass lieutenant. Killer soundtrack, a lot of Motown, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, I think some Doors in there. Just they just don't make them like they used to.
No.
With Robin Williams especially. Brandon, where are you at with the Augusta? Where are we at? Who are you bringing?
So I'm going to bring my friend Mitch, who's one of my best friends, and he's just getting into golf. So number one, I know I can beat him, and then number two, he would have a good time with it. For the pro golfer, I'm taking Pat Perez, and for because he is an absolute vibe, and I love him. He would not take it seriously at all. We would have a great time out there. I understand why people want to play with Tiger, but I feel like Tiger would be like too much. Like it would just be like he's out there like crushing it, and like not, he might be fun, but like if I'm there with Paparazzi, he's gonna be like, let's get some beers going, let's have a good time, guys. Like he'll be going crazy. And then third person, it's coming down. I think I'm going to go Luke Combs since I kind of look like him, but it was between him and Tom Brady. And then but I feel like, again, Tom Brady would not, I don't know if he would pass the vibe check, even though I do love him to death. So I think I'm going to go Luke Combs. I think I'm going Luke Combs on that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the margs will be flowing there for sure.
Oh yeah. We'll be having a good old time. Like they'll probably kick us off by hole 5. They'd probably be like, nope.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
all right. What about you, Jordan? Finish this up.
I usually go take my brother for sure, and then I would take Phil and Barkley for the gambling stories alone.
Wow.
Of when Chaz was on the Suns in the late 90s and Phil was young whippersnapper, dealing with bookies and the mob in Vegas. Back when they did coke at halftime, that sort of thing.
That's incredible.
Coke at the turn. That's
Coke at the turn.
Coca-Cola. Don't get us banned on Spotify. Coca-Cola at the turn.
You played the first 9 holes in 3 hours, but then your second 9 holes was in a half hour. How does that happen?
Speed golf.
Coca-Cola.
Speed golf, yeah. Literally.
Oh man. Well, Jordan, we very, very much appreciate you coming on the pod this week, man. Thank you very much. Shout out to Odin Golf. We're pumped to be working with you again. And I think, we really, really appreciate your time today, man.
You got it. This was fun jamming and shooting the shit, and I can't wait to swap logos, like swapping jerseys.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Thanks again. Thanks again, Jordan.